What's going on, everybody? Classic Game Freak here.
And retired by choice.
Welcome to another episode of the Classically Retarded Show.
Yep.
How you doing tonight, man?
I am doing great. I had me a nice little nap, and I'm raring to go.
Yeah, not responding to my messages right off whenever I'm like, come on, let's do this. Usually I'm the one that's kind of just missing in action.
Yeah, usually it's like I'm ready to go as soon as my kids are either in bed or gone at their mom's house around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and I don't get any response from you until around 10:30, 11 o'clock. And this time the tables are switched and flipped a little bit.
Yeah, I was even visiting family, and I'm sitting there writing this stuff down, messaging you like, hey, come on, do you want to do this tonight? Let's do this. I'm actually really kind of stoked for this episode tonight.
Oh, good, good. I know it's a good topic. I know I got a list here of some games that definitely I feel are top 20 games of all time kind of fodder. And I know you got a nice little list going too.
Yeah,
So,
uh, a
so
lot of
in my opinion, this can be the topic plus or in addition to a top 10 game of all time countdown, basically.
I don't know if it's like top 10 of all time, but there really are some good games here. And mind you, we're not really talking about like any bad games, I don't think. I don't have a single actual like quote unquote bad game on my list here that we're going to be talking about.
Neither do I. I think, like I said, in my mind of minds, this could practically be my top 10 list of all time games.
Right. This is a real exciting list for me, and let's let the listeners kind of know what we're going to talk about here. But I do want to kind of find out what we've been playing here a little bit. So real quick, the topic tonight is going to be sort of story versus gameplay. What games have you played that the story was huge but the gameplay was weak, or the gameplay was really awesome but the story was weak, or what games were in kind of the middle there? What was good story and good gameplay? So we'll be getting into that shortly, but let's just kind of go through the motions here. What have you been playing the past couple of weeks?
Well, I've been kind of just going through my collection, trying to play games that have just been sitting here on my shelf for the last year or two or longer. So I have been playing quite a bit of Dead Rising 2. I was playing it when it first came out. Didn't get real far, and I put it down. I don't know if I can't remember if I put it down because I had other games I bought at the same time, or if other games came out around the same time that I was playing that one. But I put it down, have not picked it up or even touched it in a good 3-4 years now. And so I decided to pick it up, start playing it again. And boy, it's one of those games that if you don't play it from beginning to end within a certain amount of time and you pick it back up, you're lost. I had to actually restart my game because I could not remember which missions I was in the middle of. I couldn't remember which people I was trying to get back to the safe room. I mean, it was just discombobulating. So I had to start all over again from the beginning. So I'm kind of working on that. And a buddy of mine just recently picked up Borderlands 2, so we've been playing that a little bit online. And that's pretty much where I'm at. I did do a Let's Play with I Am Bread, and that game, oh my god, I must have played that game 3 hours straight. I only made a video for like 8 or 9 minutes, but there's like 3 hours of gameplay footage that I'm just like, oh, I can't do this anymore. At one point, I actually got up and walked away from my computer because I just could not do it anymore.
I actually saw that video. It's a funny little story, real quick. I came to the realization, for one, when I have watched that video twice. The first time I didn't even realize I had, but it was a starting realization for me. I had accidentally recorded myself while I had taken my Ambien, and I was watching your video while munching on a slice of pizza, and I seemed so uninterested in your video. I was falling asleep. Yeah,
Nice.
I really was. Like this video, I accidentally recorded it. I was falling asleep because of my Ambien while I had pizza in my mouth. And, like, thankfully, it didn't look as bad as it sounds, but I was horrified at this idea that I was literally falling asleep with food in my mouth and almost seemed like I was choking at one point, like coughing and choking. And I was watching your video of all videos, so I have proof I watched it. But no, I tried to play this game. Like after I saw your video, I had no interest in playing this game until I saw your video, and I was like, okay, it's by the same guys that made Surgeon Simulator. I
Right.
gotta fine. I gotta try this because it looked like a challenge, and I started actually making a video because I wanted to kind of be like, well, retarded by choice made one. I want to just say, hey, I'm making this video because he did. I want to see how well I do. No, there was no playing it for me. I tried it for a few minutes and I said, I hate this game.
It pisses you off, doesn't it?
I It really pissed me off. Like there was one point I think the only redeeming value the game had for me was when I had the bread humping a dish up on the table. Like I think it was like one of those things that covers butter or something like that on the table, and like I landed just right, and I kept pushing the bread forward. It kind of looked like it was humping the table, and I thought the way I was going to edit that was I was going to have like in that part you were going to hear like ooh yeah, just
Nice.
3 hours of gameplay. You are a better man than I as far as that game goes.
I really wanted to beat the first day. I really just wanted to just have that one gameplay where I get the bread in that goddamn toaster, and I could not get it. I can get it on top of the toaster. I can smudge it toward the opening. But every time I get it to where it's about to drop in, the bread flings off the counter onto the floor. I'm like, I'm like, fuck this shit. Fuck this dumb game and this fucking ass. Fuck, 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 fuck. I was so mad. I was about, I don't know, probably, if I would have played 10 more minutes, I would have thrown that controller. I know I would have. But yeah, I'm done with that game. It was fun for a second, and I can't do it. I just can't do it.
I know there's been a lot of Let's Plays of that one. That one's kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's, where it's been kind of done into the ground and everything. But I mean, it's there's a reason for it. It is one of those quirky games, kind of like Octodad. But I don't, can't do it. I cannot play it. I've hated it. It just irritated the ever living piss out of me. And like I said, you're a better man than I. But I was glad to see you actually did that Let's Play. I was like, man, I really do want to see some more. You're giving me ideas of games to play.
Right. That's the reason why I'm trying to do some more Let's Plays. I want to get more content on my channel instead of just all these unboxings or retarded pickups I'm doing. I want to try to get more stuff on my channel, and it's hard. It's hard to think of things to do, things to make videos about, and trying to find games that have not been played into the ground that everyone's got Let's Plays about is hard too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a thing where it's like, it's not original. A lot of people have played it. You just kind of got to suck it up and be like, I'm gonna throw my name into the hat there. I'm gonna throw my name into the mix. I'm gonna do a Let's Play. If people watch it, it's because they think I'm interesting enough to, give me their watch, to give me a view. So, like my Five Nights at Freddy's videos, I think I get maybe 30, 40 views on right now, and I'm okay with it because when I when I go and make those videos, I die a lot in it. I get caught a lot in the game, and when I go to edit it and throw all those pieces together, I sit there and laugh at myself. I have a good time with it. I have a good time playing it. So editing's a blast. So why not?
Right, right, yeah. If you can definitely make yourself laugh, then it's well worth the view.
Yeah, why not? And you always get my view. The one thing I do want to say, I don't know if you read my comment on your video or not, but do you have to slide the stupid thing on the side of the toaster down before you actually try to get it in the toaster?
No, no, you just gotta get the bread perfectly lined up to where it falls in that hole, and it'll toast itself. And this is the part that's gonna suck once I get the bread into the toaster, is once you get the bread in the toaster, it gives you a percentile of how much your bread is toasted, and you gotta pop the bread out before it burns.
Nice.
It sounds nice, but I don't think it is. I think it's gonna be a pure pain in the ass. So that's one of the other reasons why I'm not playing anymore. I'm like, I'm done. That's just
I
too much work.
I
Games
don't.
should not be work. It should be fun. That's why they're called games.
But I also do like a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna leave it on my computer for a little bit, and I might come back to it. But I know it was just infuriating at first. Maybe if I can grasp the controls a little better,
Yeah,
maybe I'll go try it out. I don't know.
yeah. The controls in that are really weird, especially if you're using the mouse and keyboard combo.
Oh yeah.
It's a little infuriating. That's why I had to go to the Xbox 360 controller because I couldn't do the okay, one and three, two and four, one and three, two and four. Oh, two and three, one and four. Oh crap.
Yeah, and that threw me off at first. That's why I grabbed my controller as well. It's just something you really, not unless you're very, very focused, you can do if you're focused. But I lack that focus. Controller did make it a little easier.
Yeah, a little bit easier, but not much.
Exactly. So,
So,
so
what
yeah.
what have you been playing, sir?
Oh, I have been playing. Actually, this past week, I've been playing a lot of the Monster Hunter 4 demo.
Ah,
I know we talked about that, I believe, the last episode about Monster Hunter and the 3DS. Yeah, yeah, we were talking about the 3DSs and scalpers and all that. I wasn't fortunate enough to get an email from Nintendo or anything like that, even though I am like an uber Monster Hunter fan. I did not get an email with a fantastical code in it. So
um,
I went to begging on IGN and Reddit and all that. And people were throwing codes up on their left and right, but before I could get to it and try to nab it, it'd say, "Oh, this code has been used." So, fortunately enough, I know a few people. I asked a couple different people. I was like, "Hey, look, you wouldn't happen to have an extra Monster Hunter 4 code, would you?" And like I messaged before I went to bed one night. The next morning, boom, here you go, man. Have fun. Yes.
that's awesome.
So yeah, I've been really enjoying that, and so far it's living up to my expectations. I don't think it's gonna make fans out of anybody who didn't like Monster Hunter to begin with, but so far what I'm seeing, the game is good. It's some new weapons. I know there's going to be a whole lot of new armor since there's new monsters, new weapons. Some new weapon classes are really interesting, called like the insect glaive, which you can send an insect off to the enemy to kind of suck the blood out of them and things like that. It's just really cool.
Nice.
Uh, I've been playing that, and I've still been playing Grand Theft Auto 5. I can't get enough of it. I've been doing a lot of races on there, been just doing some off the wall stuff like playing darts, and I found out about arm wrestling last night. Did a little bit of that.
Yeah, I saw that post you put up on Facebook about arm wrestling with Scuba.
Yeah. Um, yeah, we did a little bit of arm wrestling last night, and I kept thinking of that movie Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone.
Yo, yeah, yeah.
So, hey, Adrian,
I'm
Rob.
over the top. Yeah.
That movie was so cheesy, but I don't know. It's still good. I like that movie. Don't hate.
I saw that movie in the theater, so I can't hate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I lived on an Air Force base, and we used to get movies in all the time, like a new movie every week. And so for like $1, I'd go down to the theater and watch these movies. I remember I watched that in the theater. I watched Hutch in the theater. I mean, a lot of really bad movies in the theater for $1, but I also saw a bunch of really good ones. So
Yeah, well, Hutch, I definitely wouldn't put up there in the good movie category, really, but
no, no, it was not good. That was a bad movie.
I guess it was a time waster.
Yeah, and it was only $1, so I mean, why not?
Sure.
I don't think you could rent a movie on VHS for that much back in the day. So seeing it in the theater for $1 worked out okay, I guess.
Well, there you go. Go see it for $1, especially if you haven't seen it already. Why not?
Right, right. But I wouldn't suggest it now.
No. Good God,
No,
no.
no, no.
But
Hey, whoa, what happened? Hey, bud, you still there? Hey, hey, you there?
yeah, I'm here.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, it just straight up said error 9, and that was it.
Yeah, it popped. It still said it was live here for me, but I couldn't invite anyone because I wasn't hosting. And then it
Okay.
popped up. And then it popped up the screen saying waiting for people to connect.
Shit. Well, it says we're still broadcasting, so I guess I'll just continue where we left off.
Yeah, I guess you have to snip out that dead spot.
Yeah. So the last game that I've actually been playing, and this is going to actually bring us to our topic for the episode, is Indigo Prophecy. Now, actually, I want to go ahead and call it what it truly is. It's actually got two names over in Europe. It was Fahrenheit. Here in the U.S., it was Indigo Prophecy, but they just released Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy Remastered.
Right, right.
And for the listeners, this game came out on the PS2, the Xbox, and the PC back in like late 2005, early 2006. And it was by Quantic Dream, which is the developers of Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain. It's got a very, very kind of deep story to it. And it's a game I really actually fell in love with. I don't remember how I found out about it, but I remember downloading it, and once I started playing it, I was hooked.
Right, right. Um, I remember playing the game back in the day. I had a physical copy. Uh, I think I saw it at my local game store for. It was a reasonable price. So that's why I picked it up. So it must have been like $10 or $15. But I can't remember what it was about. So if you want to just refresh everyone real quick.
Sure, I remember finding out what the premise was to the game, and it said you're basically playing as three characters. One's a murderer, and two are detectives trying to figure out who the murderer is and why he's murdering people. And I mean, the game literally starts out with the character Lucas Kane explaining that, this is how my story began and everything, kind of follows a crow to a bathroom at a diner. You see a guy using the sink, and it the camera kind of pans around and you realize somebody's in the stall. And what it shows is this character cutting his arms, cutting his wrists, and just what seems like in kind of a trance. In the meantime, it's kind of flashing and showing this guy with candles around him and everything, kind of doing the same motions. Dude comes out of the stall, just stabs the guy at the sink in the heart, gets down, stabs him a couple more times, then he kind of comes to and realizes, what the heck. So he was kind of in this trance state. He came out of it after he killed the guy. You start out having to clean up your crime scene, and right after that, you're playing as the detectives who come in and are trying to figure out, what happened here. And the game only gets weirder from there. It turns into an apocalyptic kind of story involving, the character that murdered this other guy, and just I can't go into much detail without giving or without spoiling the game.
Right, right. Yeah, okay. It sounds a lot more familiar now. I do remember this game now, and I remember playing this for quite a bit, and it was actually a really great game.
It was very fantastic. It's one of those games like you can really lose yourself in the story. It was really like watching a movie, and it actually unfortunately introduced me to the band Theory of a Dead Man, and that music haunts me.
Haunts you how?
It's horrible.
Yeah, yeah. Theory of a Dead Man is a horrible band. Yes.
I do remember there was one song. I mean, if you haven't heard Theory of a Dead Man, I swear all the music they make is whining and complaining about ex-girlfriends and being spurned and dealing with heartbreak and all that. And this one song, it was catchy to begin with. It's a song called Santa Monica, but while the song was kind of catchy, it didn't fit the game at all. Like, this is the song you hear at the end of the credits. It just didn't really make sense, but that haunted me. Uh, but this game, and this is where we're going to kind of get on the topic here. This game had a great story, very fantastic. It keeps you hooked to the end. It gets weird, really weird, but the gameplay itself, it made it just sort of like an interactive movie. The gameplay was not great in this game.
Right. Yeah. The gameplay was a little, for me, is a little stiff.
Right. Now, do you remember like the mechanics of the gameplay?
Vaguely. I mean, it's coming back slowly to me. Like I said, this came out like I think late 2005, and at that time, I can't remember if I was in the middle of playing other games as well as this game, but I know I didn't finish it, and I kind of hate myself for not finishing the game. But if I remember correctly, it was a bit stiff for my liking, a little hard to get used to. But
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. How? I mean, what do you remember about it?
Well, I mean, I've been playing it, so I've got a fresh idea of how the gameplay is. Now, I mean, it's not like your typical CSI game where, you're taking the mouse cursor, moving over items, the crime scene and what have you and whatnot. You actually control the character. You walk around kind of like the original Resident Evil. You're kind of, and now I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was like kind of like a tank almost. But when you walk up to something, you'll get little icons at the top of the screen, like on the murder scene at the very beginning. You've got this blood trail because you've taken the corpse of your victim and put him in the stall. But now you got this blood trail, so you got a mop in the bathroom. You can hold the mouse button down like I'm playing it on a computer. You hold the mouse button down, and then you can drag it right or drag it left, whichever way it tells you to do, and then he'll actually perform that action.
Right.
Later on, it's like semicircles and so on. And I mean, that's all good and well. That's okay. Now, the action scenes. This game's got a few action scenes that are pretty darn good. I mean, you want to pay more attention to the action than actually what you're having to do. And the controls play out like Simon, like a big game of Simon, if you will. You get these two color wheels on the screen. Now, this I haven't gotten into any action scenes on the remastered edition of it, but on the old version, it was four colors in each wheel, and the red, which would be up, would be flashing on them. You'd have to push like W and up, or it was blue, which was down. You'd have to hit S and down. So each one kind of represented, if you will, like two analog sticks.
Right, yeah.
And if it was up, down, left, or right, you'd have to hit the buttons corresponding with that. And I mean, that's cool. If you messed up, your character died gruesomely.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one scene, it's really cool. He's getting chased by the police, and there's cop cars coming in. He's dodging them. There's a truck that he ends up having to duck under as it's jackknifing by him. He jumps up on a helicopter, and all in the meantime, you're hitting these buttons. It kind of distracts a little bit and takes away from those action scenes. But as I said, the game it didn't make me stop playing. I The action scene was still action packed to the point I was like, I got to keep playing. I got to know what happens.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I do remember the game. I remember that those color wheels did kind of infuriate me a little bit because I'm not the fastest person in the world when it comes to like matching colors and things on the screen. That's why like games like Dragon's Lair killed me.
I was just thinking that as a reference was Dragon's Lair and Space
Yeah,
Ace.
yeah, those games, as awesome as they were and as cool as they looked, I was never fast enough to make Dirt do what it needed to do.
Never in the arcades. Now, I had that game on the Sega CD, and I enjoyed it because I got to where I knew which way I had to go and how fast I could respond to it and how fast I could react. But if you put me in front of an arcade machine now, like I've been to a couple of arcades where they've had it and I've tried, and I would just walk away from the game in frustration because now that game was punishing. You
Yeah,
didn't.
there is no room for error in that game. There is no like, well, you could go this way. No, there's only one way you can go, and if you didn't do it the right time, at the right exact same way this and you need to go, you died instantly.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. The death animations in that game were fantastic, and it was always funny. But
Yeah,
still, at the same time, you're like, "Damn it! I just lost these quarters. That sucks."
yeah. That's why when I got the Sega CD version, I was so happy that there's a code that you can put in and just watch all the cutscenes. And so you didn't have to really play the game. You could sit there for a half an hour and watch the game play out.
Watching a Don Bluth game, that's what's not to like.
It's definitely entertaining.
So yeah, it kind of plays out in that fashion. It's way more forgiving than Dragon's Lair, but it think of Dragon's Lair kind of loosely as a reference to how Indigo Prophecy plays, or Fahrenheit, if you will.
Yeah.
So in that light, let's kind of move on from Indigo Prophecy. If all I gotta say about it is, if you have not played it, this is to anybody that's listening, to anybody that's gonna watch this. You owe it to yourself to play it if you want a good story. And actually, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of combine the Quantic Dream games together here. You've got you've got Indigo Prophecy, you've got Heavy Rain, you've got Beyond Two Souls, which I know you've played.
I played it and I a lot of people hated it. I loved it. I thought it was a great game. The story was awesome. It's one of those games that there's very little gameplay to it. It's mostly you're watching the movie, you're watching the experience, and but then you do have events that you do need to do. But it's mostly just kind of like choose your own adventure point and click kind of game. It's just like Heavy Rain, just it's got big name stars in it and the starring roles. But I enjoyed Heavy Rain. I enjoyed the uh, the Two Souls. I thought they're good.
Yeah, all I gotta say is Willem Dafoe. That's that's it right there.
Yeah, yeah, he does put a certain carte blanche on the character.
he he's great in almost everything he does.
Hell yeah.
Boondock Saints, classic.
Oh yeah, I never even liked that movie, but he did such a good job in that role that I forgot that it was Boondock Saints.
Blasphemy,
Nope, nope,
blasphemy.
nope, nope, nope. I know I'll get a lot of hate on that, but I don't care. I didn't like the movie.
I love Boondock Saints. That was my. I played a drinking game. My buddy introduced it to me when back in like 2008. I was going through a really bad breakup, and he was like, "Man, you need cheering up." He goes, "I'm gonna play a drinking game with you." He said, "What you need to do? We're gonna watch Boondock Saints, and every time they drop an F bomb, you have to take a drink." Little did I know that there's a character in there named Rocco, and
Yeah.
he goes on a rant. I mean, just every second he's dropping f bombs left and right. I remember my buddy sitting 2 or 3 beers in front of me. He goes, "You're gonna need these," and like I was sitting there drinking so fast and so much that like I couldn't catch my breath. I'm like, okay, I can't do it no more. He's just laughing the whole time. I was like, you know what? Screw you, dude. Screw you.
Yeah, that's more of a punishment than a game.
Man, that hurt.
Yeah,
But
it'd be more like it'd be like playing that game with any Quentin Tarantino movie. I mean, it's just you know there's gonna be some F bombs coming. You know you're gonna be drinking for a half an hour straight.
exactly. Don't ever accept that drinking game watching like a Boondock Saint movie or a Quentin Tarantino movie, anything like that.
No, no, it'd be like playing a drinking game while watching Jerry Springer and taking drinks every time someone gets up to fight.
There you go. So, uh, you got those three games and another one by Quantic Dream. This one is way lesser known, but it was actually my introduction to Quantic Dream. It was a game called Omicron, the Nomad Soul. And it was actually, I believe it was on PC. I'm pretty sure it was on PC. And then it was on the Sega Dreamcast as well.
That's why I never heard of it. I didn't have a Dreamcast growing up, and like I said, I've never really been a PC gamer. So beyond like Son of Zork, I haven't really played too many PC games.
Well, you need to change that. There's PC. The indie scene on the PC is amazing. It's now's the time to be a PC gamer. But that's maybe a topic for a different episode. I like
It,
saying that. I swear I do.
I think you do. I think that's a topic too.
How much does Classic Game Freak like saying that's a topic for another episode?
Yeah, that's the next episode actually. There we go.
Okay, but that's a topic for another episode. This game was actually kind of cool. It was very clunky, but I mean, they really hyped the fact that David Bowie did some music for it. And it was David Bowie, that's for sure. I think he did like a character in the game, but it was set in the future. Apparently, your soul gets sucked into your character at the beginning of the game. Like it literally shows like if you're time traveling or something like that, and your character doesn't recall anything, but he's like this law enforcer of sorts in this futuristic world, and you're trying to find out what's going on. There's like these demons after you at some point later on. It gets weird. The whole game is weird, but it's that weird you want to explore, and it's really cool because I mean the at least there's some combat elements there. There's hand to hand stuff. There's you know uh, uh, pistol combat. You're using firearms, things like that. So that was a little bit more action than what they got into. Like I said, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, games like that.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Story was still kind of weak in that one, but gameplay was a little better.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
So how about you? Story over gameplay. Were you able to get any on your list or?
I do have a couple where the story just outshines gameplay. We've talked about this game before in the past. I've talked about it quite a bunch. If not on these shows, I've talked about them in previous videos on my own channel. But Telltale's The Walking Dead series. I mean that gaming series is phenomenal. The story alone is worth picking up the game by itself. I mean, I'll say that from now to the end of eternity, that game is great. And anyone who's ever played a Telltale game, there's very little gameplay. It's mostly sitting there clicking on the different conversations, and everything you say to any character in these games, those characters will remember. It'll affect story later on down the road. And with these games, they're all episode based games. So something you say in episode one may not come to fruition until episode 4 or 5. But it's one of those things that everything you say and do will take effect in the game in some way. And the first Walking Dead game by Telltale was just amazing. I mean, I, I've been very hard pressed to find a game where the story actually moves me, and that first Walking Dead game did that. I mean, was virtually crying at the end of that game because I was like, oh my god, this character that you watched kind of develop from episode 1 to episode 5 is now, no spoilers, is now doing what they're doing, and you're just like, wow, crazy.
I think you kind of gave it away when you said it moved you, and
Well, I'm not saying exactly what happened. I mean, the game's been out for a few years, so if you haven't played it yet, get on it. But you know,
or you haven't already had it spoiled for you at some point.
right? Yeah. I mean, nowadays with the internet, everything's spoiled. If you're not on it day one, you might as well pack it up. But yeah, I mean, if you don't know what happens, definitely go pick it up. Or even if you do not know what happens, go pick it up anyway. I mean, it's a great game.
Yeah, and actually, this one was on my list. I hadn't played the whole season one or anything. I played like 2 episodes in, and I mean, I know what happens through it. Like I said, if you are well, as you said, if you're on the internet and you haven't had it spoiled yet, be in shock, be surprised. But I know what happens. But yeah, as you said, very little gameplay. It's a lot of walking around, a lot of dialogue, a lot of choosing what you want to do next. But I mean, if you're thinking you're going to be just hacking and slashing zombies or walkers, it's not the case.
Exactly. I have a friend who's got a 13-year-old daughter, and she watches the TV show The Walking Dead. And I guess recently Xbox 360 offered up episode 1 for The Walking Dead season 1 for free. And so she was playing that, and she's like, "This is nothing like the show." And I had explained to her, "Well, it's based on the comic book that the show is based on, so it's not going to be just like the show. It's its own reality, its own little story arc, but it's still a good game."
Yeah, it's just kind of like the spin-off TV show they're going to be doing. It's set in the same. Everything that's going on is going on, but it's just different location, different people.
Yep, and I can't wait for that show to come out, bud.
Oh, I'm excited. Right now, I know today we're filming this on the. Technically, it's the 1st of February, and we won't release this until a day after, or 2 days. No, it'll be a day after the mid-season premiere of the new Walking Dead.
Yep, and I can't wait. I've been waiting for weeks for this show to come back.
Yeah, I'm excited. I didn't realize it was even we were jumping on February until just today. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I got on Facebook and there was something on there. It showed the characters from The Walking Dead and it said, why I'm most excited about the Super Bowl because a week after the Super Bowl, The Walking Dead comes back on.
Exactly.
I was like, yes, this is me. I'm finally in the fold.
Yeah, you're finally caught back up.
Caught up, ready to go. I'm just gonna straight up watch the episodes that night. I don't have to work, because I've had people spoil it for me in the past, and I was not happy about it. So there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, that's the thing about that show. If you don't watch it day one and you go on Facebook the next day, you're pretty much getting told everything about the show.
Yeah, screw that. I want to be in the fold when it happens.
And you will be, sir, next Sunday.
Okay, so one example I want to make here, and like I said, this is not a list that I have here that's full of stinkers. There is actually no bad games on my list. I'm looking at them here, and I mean, they're all really good games. The Walking Dead games, like you said, very story-driven games.
Yep.
Even though there's not much gameplay there, it is still very intriguing. There's still a very good reason why it got the good ratings it did. And I mean, that's just an example where story can be way more important than the gameplay. You don't necessarily need full on gameplay to enjoy a game. Now,
Exactly.
on the uh, flip side of that, I want to say Monster Hunter.
Right.
Monster Hunter is a great game. The like the hunting is great. The gameplay can be a little rough simply because of the camera. The camera can be a little unwieldy if you're not using analog sticks or you haven't grown used to the PSP setup, which is using a button to constantly kind of line up your camera angle, or using what's called the hook finger, where you're using the digital pad to turn your camera left and right. But beyond that, the action, the combat, it's something you have to kind of learn. There's a little bit of a learning curve to it, if you will. Each weapon handles differently. So you're sitting there learning that, and as you start to play, you start to get hooked. But in the meantime, there's no real story to it. You're a hunter in a village that's being plagued by monsters. You got to go out and hunt those monsters.
Right.
That's it. The story's completely passable. You go up to an elder, like the mayor of the town or the mayor of the village. They give you a quest, or you go online. And you go on to a quest, and that's it. Like the meat of this whole game is just to go out and slay these monsters, and there is something genuinely rewarding to it. You slay this monster you haven't been able to for the longest time. You get that set of armor that you know uh, it helped you get this monster. You kill that monster, says objective complete. There is a satisfaction there like no other in any other game.
Right. Right. That's kind of like for me a game that's got a story, but it's one of those things that it doesn't matter what the story is because it's more gameplay, and that's the Portal games.
What, a good story or good gameplay?
Good gameplay because I mean, if you take the story out of the game, it's still a good game.
Yeah.
And I mean, because the whole point of the game is you're supposed to be trying to get out of this kind of like a test simulator. You're just trying to survive the AI, but there's no real backstory to it. Like, oh, your character is such and such, and he's gone through this much kind of trouble to get to this point, and now he's got to survive. It doesn't matter what the story is. It's just the gameplay is awesome. You're trying to figure out now how do I get to that level, that that little thing up there at top, so I can jump there and get into the next level.
Yeah, I know I played the first Portal, and while the gameplay was good, it was very short. That's the only problem I had with it.
Yeah, the game is short. I mean, even Portal 2 is pretty short. There's more to it than the first one, but I mean, if you're looking for a game that's gonna keep you enthralled for days or weeks, Portal's not the series for you. But if you just want something that's gonna keep you entertained for a while and have a bit of a challenge, then it's definitely worth a pickup and it's fun to play. But it's one
Yeah.
of those games that it's more gameplay than storyline. I mean, if you were to ask me what the actual story is. I couldn't tell you from start to finish what the story is supposed to be. That's how important it is to the gameplay of the game.
Completely passable.
Exactly.
Right. I like I said, I played the first one. I didn't beat the first one. I had no interest in the second one because I don't know. The puzzles are cool. I like the dynamic of it, but at the same time, it didn't grab my interest. Like the Portal is beloved. Like you talk crap about Portal, you're gonna have a lot of trolls on you.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
definitely. It's got something that's just endearing. Even if you just talk about the companion cube, people are gonna say, "Oh, it's so awesome," or "Oh, I can't live without my companion cube."
yeah, and I mean, especially if you say you don't understand the whole cake is a lie thing. The cake is a
Right.
lie. It's like for the
It's the
longest time. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, "Cake is a lie" is a huge internet meme. I mean, it's everywhere.
It is. And for the longest time, I didn't understand it. I remember the first time I ever heard the Portal song. It was like from a guy at the place I worked at, and he's sitting there just laughing and laughing. He's like, "Oh, you got to hear this! You got to hear this!" I listened to it, and I remember just kind of looking at him and go, I don't get it. It's not that funny." He's like, "Yes, it is, dude. Oh my god, oh man." I was like, "No, it's not that funny. I'm sorry."
Oh, it's pretty funny. I mean, once you beat the game, that's the song that plays at the end credits, and it kind of tells the whole story of your journey from the beginning to end of the game.
Yeah, maybe I just got to go back and play it again. I know I've got the orange box, and I don't know. Maybe I just need to give
I,
myself a refresher.
I think so. Just pop it in for a little bit.
Maybe see if I can't get access to a copy of Portal 2 and try it. I've never actually played Portal 2.
Portal 2 is pretty fun. It goes more into the story than the first one does. So definitely finish one and then move on to the Portal 2.
Yeah.
If we lived in the same town, I'd just let you borrow my copy, but I don't. We're a good 1,000 miles away from each other.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I agree. We are. So okay, I want to go ahead and put a good gameplay, not great storyline game out there, and I want to do this one simply because it's a game that I can go back to and lose myself in because it's just one of those games. Just really is. The game I'd have to put up there is Diablo. Take your pick. Which Diablo? It don't matter. I mean, three's the mainly the one I'm talking about, but the Diablo game, like, okay, I get it. There's something about a soul stone that trapped Diablo. Ooh, an angel came down to help aid your quest in trapping Diablo again because his minions are breaking him loose. Okay, I get it. All of that was passable. Now, don't get me wrong. Like in Diablo 3, the cutscenes are gorgeous, just downright gorgeous. But yet, I came away going, who cares? Not interested. Don't. Nobody cares about the story, but the gameplay, all the loot you can pick up, made me come back for more every time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I know you've had to have played a couple dungeon crawlers that have just not just dungeon crawlers, but loot crawlers. Uh, Maybe you kind of felt that with Borderlands.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, Borderlands is on my list. I mean, it's one of those games, but it's one of those games where story and gameplay kind of go hand in hand. So it's kind of a middle of the road where you really can't go one without the other. The story is
Yeah,
a big part of the gameplay, and gameplay is a big part of the story.
and I know I agree with you on that one simply because, like in Borderlands 2, Handsome Jack carries it so well, like just simply by taunting you as you
Yeah.
progress.
Well, wait until you play the pre-sequel, because Handsome Jack is the pre-sequel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one point that still stands out because I never really got super far into the game or anything, but one point that stands out is handsome Jack's talking about Butt Stallion,
Yeah.
and that grabbed me. That cracked me up, and I had to go back like online and listen to him just talk about Butt Stallion.
Well,
So
have you played the Tiny Tina add-on for Borderlands 2 yet?
no, I've seen some YouTube video, but I have not actually played it.
Well, you need to because it has Butt Stallion.
I know. I have seen Butt Stallion on YouTube
It
because
is definitely epic.
a guy I worked with told me that Butt Stallion was in there. I had to go and see Butt Stallion for myself.
Oh, it's great.
But I don't want to just try to get to the Tiny Tina portion without playing the whole game. So I know I want to go back. I want to play it, but I just never. I don't know why I don't ever do.
I don't know. It's one of those games that you do invest a lot of time in it, and if you don't have the time to do it, you can definitely get pushed off to the side.
I think that's what I'm most scared of. Like I know I've got a bunch of other games I'm playing. There's stuff that's coming out. February is monster tastic. You know, Walking Dead coming out on TV again. You've got Evolve on the 10th. You got Monster Hunter on the 13th. So my weekend or my month is already like after the 10th. Forget it. It's gonna be Evolve and Monster Hunter
Right, right.
with The Walking Dead on Sundays.
Yep. Yeah, that
So
definitely eat up a lot of time.
yeah, I know I'll play it eventually. I know
Well,
this.
well, you need to, bro, 'cause it's an awesome game. And
I'm
with the
looking forward to it.
and with the Handsome Collection coming out on the PS4 and the Xbox One, definitely.
5,000 copies of that made. Ridiculous.
I know it's insane. Have you seen the eBay's already?
No, I'm afraid.
It's insane. They have a limited edition that comes with a remote controlled claptrap. Sorry, that edition's already sold out. Sold out day one, and it's already gone for $600 online, and it hasn't even come out yet.
I mean, I guess that could be worse. They could be doubling the price. The Handsome Collection is what, $500 normally.
Something like that.
So I mean, them kicking $100 more onto it, tacking $100 more onto it. It could be worse, but yeah, that's the topic we were talking about a couple weeks ago. It's like that was before the Handsome Collection came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was announced, but it hadn't gotten to sell yet.
Right. So we kind of called it. Exactly what we're talking about, but this time for a game we really kind of cared about.
Yeah.
Such
Well,
a shame.
definitely. Yeah.
Now, speaking of games that are just they're the middle line. One for me, I don't know if you got into this or not. A lot of people have, and for me, it was actually the Mass Effect series.
Mass Effect. I played the first one. Um, I didn't get too deep into it. I think I got about 12 hours into it, give or take, and I put it down for a minute and then never picked it back up. I have a copy of Mass Effect 2 that I haven't even touched yet because I don't want to play it until I play one all the way through. So it's one of those things that I need to finish the first one to get to the second one to get to the third one.
And that's very true. That's the way you want to play it because the decisions you make in the first one affect the second one, and the second one the third one. Now, don't get me wrong, the endings in the third one, it's all very kind of color coded. You're with all the decisions you make throughout 1 and 2 and 3, the way the whole game ends is very linear and disappointing. But The game as a whole is excellent. The gameplay in the first one it lacked a little, but in the second one it was more combat based. Like they put a little bit more combat into it. You could hide behind walls and things like that. Made it a little bit more exciting. So the gameplay, even though it was lacking in the first one, still good. It still made you go and play a good majority of the game,
Hmm.
and it wasn't just pointing and clicking at stuff. There was still a lot of combat, a lot of hairy situations, and it made for a really good, exciting game.
Yeah, I mean, from what I played the first one, I did enjoy it. It was very tedious and kind of boring at points because it's like, okay, why isn't the story advancing any faster? But from what I heard, that once you go the initial uh, first bunch of hours and get into like the gameplay, it really opens up more.
It really does. And as you kind of level your character up a little bit, you gain some pretty neat abilities. And depending on if you're good or bad, it unlocks the chance to give good or bad responses to dialogue trees. So that's entertaining in itself.
Right.
The fact that you have a reporter getting up in your face and you can either say, hey, no comment, no comment, or you can just freaking knock her out. If you're going for the bad character, you could just punch her in the face. I like that. I love that freedom. Also, in the second one, as your character, if let's say you decide you want to go the evil route, as you go evil, your character's appearance reflects that. So you start to see like their eyes start glowing red and things like that, kind of like Fable.
Yeah, yeah,
So that part's cool too. So you actually kind of feel like you're a badass in space. Like I ain't taking shit from nobody. So the gameplay and the story's phenomenal though. I was sad for a good portion of Mass Effect 3. So it grips you.
right on.
So Mass Effect and then another game, actually two games since it's by the same general developers, the Grand Theft Auto games and Red Dead Redemption.
Yes, I agree with you on both those because they have great stories and the gameplay is phenomenal. Rockstar, they just seem to put out really good games. I mean, there are some dogs out there that are Rockstar games. The biggest dog for me that Rockstar ever put out was State of Emergency. But we're not talking about the bad, we're talking about the good. And Red Dead Redemption, my God, that was a great game. From start to finish, great game. Um, I was very sad at the end of the game where I don't want to put any spoilers out there, but in order to make my point, ah, damn it, damn you people.
Oh, okay, everybody. Here's the deal. He's laying a spoiler down, hardcore. You don't want to hear this? Please mute for just a second here or for a minute. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, at the very end of Red Dead Redemption, your character dies in a hail of bullets in a epic battle there at the barn. Basically, no way you're gonna survive this shootout. And I was very upset because you spend all this time with this character, and all of a sudden your character dies, and you're his son. It's like, no, I don't want to play as his son. I don't care about his son. He was in the game for like a second. He was a whiny little bitch. I don't care about him. I have not picked that game up since I beat it because I was so pissed. And there are like so many achievements I still need to go back and get. But I'm like, no, I'm not touching that game again because I did not like how it ended. But from what I understand, there may be a sequel coming out.
Yeah, well, Red Dead Redemption. I remember when that game first came out. I was hearing a lot on it, and I was like, man, I want to play it, but I'm not big into Western games. I mean, I liked Gun. Gun was pretty good.
Gun was okay.
And yeah, I remember not being too interested in Red Dead Revolver, and Redemption finally hit the shelves. Reviews were stellar. Reviews were just talking about this game. You have to play it. You have to play it. You have to play it. So I bought a copy and I fell in love with it. Instantly, John Marsden was an interesting character with a very troubled past, wanting to set himself up. He's just wanting to make sure, he's doing good for himself and his family. And so the game is about redemption. He's trying to basically take care of some old gang members, posse members of his, for the government, if you will, and
Mm.
just kind of make it right, make it good between him and lawmen. And the whole time I can remember, you've got your room you can go to, which is the upstairs of a saloon, and there's dancers and everything. They're like, "Hey, want to have a good time?" And he's like, "I'm married." They just little quirks like that.
Yeah.
Marston's reactions. It was like I like this guy. I like him as a character. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he was definitely a good guy, and he was trying to just do what was right. Pay his debt to society, basically, give him this chance, this once in a lifetime chance to kind of redeem himself for everything he'd done in the past by taking out his old posse, and then at the end of the game getting screwed over. It was like, damn. But you,
Yeah,
but it's one of those things that you kind of see was coming, that he was going to get screwed over by the government because the government was just using him. But I was hoping that he wouldn't die at the end.
yeah. And the way they set it up, it kind of made it feel like it wasn't going to happen. But the fact that you were still playing the game, it's just like, yeah, something's going to happen. Something
Hmm.
bad's going to happen. But th- just saying all this, I still highly, highly, highly recommend others play it if you have not played it. It's real cheap now. You can get it used, 15, $20 tops. And
Yeah,
there's so much to it. It is the Western Grand Theft Auto. And I
yeah,
mean, if you don't want to play it for the story, play it for online. The fact that you can join up with friends and form a posse, and go and do like the territorial attacks. You can go in and fight non-player characters, or you can do a gang attack on other players. The fact that you can actually go and hunt in the game, you can go and hunt bears, and you can hunt wolves and coyotes. Go and pick flowers if you want to.
yeah. Pick flowers, and I think you can also hunt snakes.
Yeah, I mean, you were always given that annoying animation, and John Marston always had some comment about it. Oh, what did you eat? Just every time he was gutting the creature he hunted.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that got old, but it was good
It
still.
is definitely a great game. I mean, I enjoyed Red Dead Revolver for the PS2 and Xbox original. But Red Dead Redemption's leaps and bounds better. I mean, they're both by the same company and they're both supposed to be in the same series, but they're two completely different games. I mean, just gameplay wise, the first one plays. I mean, it plays good, but it's basically your typical Western type shooter game, and you can go into the Red Dead mode where you can slow down time and shoot various enemies. And but Red Dead Redemption, man, it was just leaps and bounds better.
Yeah, very amazing game. Very must play if you own a PS3 or a 360.
Yeah,
And
definitely pick it up.
I've got to ask you, there's one achievement that I had to get after I found out about it. I want to know if you got it. Did you get the Dastardly achievement?
Which one's that one?
It's the one where you rope a woman, go take her to the train track, and wait for her to get ran over.
No, I never did that one.
I think it's a hidden achievement, but you literally go rope a woman, put her on the horse, take her to a train track, and wait for her. And the little graphic is of the typical Western villain with the mustache, the curly mustache.
Oh, nice.
I had to get that. I had to get that achievement.
I might have to go back and play that just so I can get that achievement now.
It's horrible, but it's great at the same time.
Oh, that's funny.
How about you? You got any others on the list?
One game that I absolutely fell in love with, which I I hate the fact that it never did well. It never sold well. It got great reviews, and if anyone played it, they said that they loved it too. It was Alan Wake.
Alan Wake. That is a very good game.
It is a great game, and it just didn't do anything. I mean, it was a great premise. The graphics are stereotypical 360 PS3 game graphics, but I mean it's just great how they did it, where it's kind of like you're a writer and you go on vacation with your wife. She disappears. No one knows what happened to her, and it seems like characters from your books are coming alive. And it's a really great story. It's gripping. It's entertaining, and one of the major draws for me was the fact that you don't use your typical weapons. You don't use guns or knives. You're using a flashlight.
Yeah. Now, are you saying that this is kind of an in between both good gameplay and story, or are you putting that in like the good story section?
Uh, I'm putting it in the mixture of both, where it's good gameplay and good story.
Okay.
If I had to pick one or the other, I'd say story over gameplay, only because it's a great story, and it could. I think they can put this game out again today and still be a great game.
Yeah. And you're right. It is a very good game. That game actually I got that game I believe the same week that I got Red Dead Redemption. And I was playing both of them. Like when I'd get tired of one, I'd go to the other. And you're right. I mean, you didn't use conventional weapons at first in the game, but you were followed by these shadow men, pretty much, that were weak against light. So any light source would weaken them. You had to weaken them, and once their aura was gone or something like that from the flashlight, then you could shoot them and kill them.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So you were using like a flare gun was like a rocket launcher in that game.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, you had different types of flashlights, like low end, like pocket light, to big end mag lights, and then you had like the flare guns, and depending on how big your flashlight or whatnot was, determined how quickly the creatures would be weakened, and then you can attack them with a gun or even an axe or whatnot.
Yeah, and Alan had some great moves because I mean, you could still actually like if the guys got close enough to you and they went to attack you, you had the chance to dodge them, and it kind of did this nifty little dodging animation where Alan would kind of duck and swing away from the enemies. It, that was a neat little idea.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it was a great story. I know when I got Alan Wake, it was probably I think it was the week it came out, and Kmart was having a huge sale where if you went in there and you bought it, it was like I think it was like $20, and it even came with the first DLC pack for free.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it did.
and it's crazy too, because like when you if you went home and you put that code in, like as soon as you got it and you put it in, the DLC wasn't even out yet, so it'd be like, "Oh, sorry, you redeemed your code, but here's a video you can watch until the DLC comes out." So you had like a little video you can watch about Alan Wake, and then once the DLC pack did come out, you can download it still for free. But it was cool. I mean, I bought all the DLC for it. It came with that one free pack, and then there's one more after that. But it was a great game. I loved it.
Yeah, and as you said, the storyline was very good. It was very Stephen King-ish meets. A lot of people reference the show Twin Peaks. Now,
Yeah,
it does kind of liken it does feel a little bit like Twin Peaks. I only watched a few episodes of that, but the style, the visual presentation, the location was very Twin Peak ish, and they did like it's supposed to be in Washington, which there's so much logging there, and they put so much kind of logging in this game that made it really cool. But the whole premise was Alan, yeah, is a writer, and he's finding these pages of a story he didn't realize that he has written, and so he's a character in there. It just gets weird. It's kind of episodic because there's like 6 or 7 levels and it plays out like an episode. And at the end of each one, it actually kind of fades out to black and I believe it actually does credits and everything. And then like when it goes
yeah.
to the next one, it's like previously on Alan Wake, and then it shows a bunch of stuff that happened. And that was so cool to me.
Yeah, and then like in the game, you find these random TVs in there, and they'll have like these video clips of like Alan Wake, and he'll be explaining the story, what's going on so far, or what's coming up next, and it's obviously Alan Wake, but it's the fact that he hasn't made these videos yet, so it's him and it's not him. So you don't know if it's like if it's a waking dream or if it's a premonition from something that's to come or something that's already happened. It's really interesting.
Yeah. And I remember the ending leaving me like, what? What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Yeah, yeah. They set it up to where it could definitely be a sequel type of game, but I never played the next Alan Wake. What was it called? American Nightmare or?
Yeah, American Nightmare. Well, let me ask you this before we get into that. Did you play both of the downloadable contents
Oh yeah,
of the
yeah,
game?
yeah.
Okay. They did explain a little bit in it, but it still left plenty of questions. And yeah, they could have answered some of those in a sequel. Now, American Nightmare really kind of strays from the original Alan Wake. It doesn't have that same vibe, that same flow, that same feel. So, I mean, it's been a little bit since I played it, but I know that Alan had created this alter ego named Mr. Scratch. Mr. Scratch is a psycho serial killer who enjoys being in front of the camera while he kills his victims. Alan is trying to stop Mr. Scratch.
Right.
That's all I really remember about it.
See, I heard so many bad things about the American Nightmare that it put me off from wanting to get it because I loved Alan Wake so much that I didn't want to ruin that experience.
If you liked Alan Wake, you kind of enjoy American Nightmare, but at the same time, it's don't expect it to really, really continue on the story from the first one.
That's a shame. Yeah.
So, speaking of games like that, there was one that I've only really kind of touched on, but it's got that same visual kind of flair, kind of the same kind of vibe to it, and that's Deadly Premonition. I
Oh,
don't.
Deadly Premonition. That game was so bad.
Was it bad?
Oh, it was horrible. I bought it. I want to say right around its release date. I was at GameStop one day, and they had it brand new for $20. I was like, wow, that's a good price for a new game. So I went ahead and picked it up, and oh my god, this game is so bad. Um, it's got an interesting story, interesting premise. Basically, you're like an FBI profiler, and you talk to yourself. You have a split personality, and you talk to yourself all the time. You're constantly referencing Stephen King and how he's uh, the end all be all writer of this or any generation basically, and he's constantly referring to or referencing various writers, but definitely Stephen King books. And I don't know, it's very clunky. The story is goofy. The graphics are crappy. Uh, but it's one of those games that is highly sought after, and people are looking for it now.
Wow. And I bought it because of the hype. Like they said that this plays kind of like a Dreamcast game, and it like the story is a little cheesy. Once again, it's got that very Twin Peakish feel to it,
Yeah, very
and,
much so.
and yeah, you get that with the profiler going into this town and trying to find out what's going on. And I mean, that's the appeal to me. It looks very interesting, but it plays like a very clunky Resident Evil.
Yeah, it does very much so.
And I mean, if you think you understand the controls, wait until you actually play the game. The controls are horrible,
Yeah, they are.
but there's still a a style to the game. Like the developers knew how they wanted this game to look and how they wanted it to play, and it's got a charm. So I'm wanting to go back and pop that into my 360. I'm wanting to play it some more and see where it takes me because I've heard the story is still kind of interesting.
It's an interesting story, but man, it was just for, if it would have come out in 1998, it would be probably a really good game. Uh, it came out in like 2009, 2010, and I mean, it was just bad. It really did look like it could have come out from the Dreamcast era, and it was that kind of graphics.
Yeah, but that's not completely a bad thing either. Sometimes you really don't need the graphics. I don't know. I think they were just setting it up for a visual charm like that.
Well, if the story was there, then yes, the charm would have been fun, but the story wasn't there. I mean, it just wasn't a compelling enough story, and the controls were really bad, especially driving. Driving in that game is hard to do. It's very, very clunky to do.
That kind of reminds me of Alone in the Dark.
Oh,
Not the
I've had many things
original.
to say about Alone in the Dark.
The 360, uh what would you call it? The one where you literally could blink at the beginning of the game.
Yep.
So yeah, the driving was awful in that game.
Yeah, it was bad.
So, got any others on your list?
I got a few. One that I liked a lot came out, I guess, came out at the end of 2013, and is one of the main reasons why I bought a PS3 because I really wanted to play this game. It was the Last of Us.
Hmm.
That was a really good game. The story was good, and the gameplay was fun. Um, when it ended, I really didn't want it to end because I wanted to play as these characters more.
Yeah, it it really did feel like they had a good mix of gameplay and story. And I mean, I don't like it when a game makes you sit for 2 hours and watch a cutscene in between gameplay sequences. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that definitely takes away from the experience sometimes.
and yeah, that Last of Us was not one of those cases.
No, definitely not. No, it was definitely interesting where they're able to balance the two, where you had gameplay and cutscenes, but the cutscenes they didn't seem forced. They didn't seem like you had to sit there and watch 3 hours of cutscenes to make the story progress. It was very linear.
Yeah, and it kept your interest. It kept your focus. It kept you playing it.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, when I got my PS3, I wanted to play that one because it was a PS3 exclusive. I wanted to play the Beyond Two Souls because that was also another PS3 exclusive. And then you told me about Heavy Rain, which I'm glad you did because that was a great game too.
It that definitely has a good story. Once again, it's very like Indigo Prophecy. There's a lot of just like walking around a little bit and doing this action, like moving the controller this way to do this action, moving the controller that way to do this action. It's just, eh. But the story is still very good. It twists enough to be like, wait, I think I got it down. Oh no, I don't.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I know when I decide to get a PS3 again, those are the three games I'm definitely picking up first: Last of Us, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls.
Right on. I still need to actually play Beyond Two Souls.
Like I said, that's a very story-driven game, and the story alone's awesome. And if you like games that kind of touch on kind of paranormal a little bit, touch on supernatural, then you'll definitely like this game.
I'm looking forward to it. Now, one game that I will say real quick, I know we're running out of time, but one game that had a very big story, a very kind of convoluted story, but still good nonetheless, and it's still spanning actually, is Metal Gear. The Metal Gear series, like, don't get me wrong, I love this series. Absolutely love it. But you better be prepared to be sitting and watching cutscenes. Like Metal Gear 4 is well known for having a 45-minute ending sequence,
That's insane.
if not longer. Yeah.
Wow.
The game, it made me think it's mostly boss fights. There's cutscenes and then there's boss fights. Metal Gear Solid 3 wasn't so much like that, but at the same time, like Metal Gear Solid 4, like it was like a whole movie before you get to the next boss.
Wow.
So I'm not naysaying it, but at the same time, they could have added so much more gameplay to it to make it really good. But
See,
those are one of those story over gameplay games.
yeah, sounds like it. I haven't played a Metal Gear Solid game since Metal Gear Solid 2 for the PS2. And I did enjoy that one, just haven't gotten to play any of the other ones yet.
Well, the Metal Gear Solid 3 started to really weave an interesting story for Big Boss, which is actually Snake's nemesis in the very first Metal Gear game, and it was actually who he was cloned from, and he's the the guy to go to if you needed anything military. Dude knows his stuff.
Right, right.
So they really started kind of showing his story, and it's an interesting one. But they really wanted to use a lot of cutscenes. Wait a minute, was it that was in Metal Gear 3? Metal Gear 4 went back to the original Solid Snake. It's like I said, very convoluted story, and it's a little confusing. The fact that throughout the Metal Gear Solid games, you're playing as what, 3, 4 different characters.
Yeah,
So after Metal Gear Solid 4, I think they kind of retired Solid Snake and then decided to, like in the PSP games, going from there, wanted to really focus on Big Boss. And you find out exactly why he's a bad guy and everything. And it's over the span of these games, it's kind of like seeing Darth Vader. It started out as this innocent kid and just goes from there. There's a lot of stuff that just pushes him over the edge.
right, right. Okay.
Very good story. Like I said, it's a very weird one, but it's good. It makes you feel the feels.
Ah, gotchas.
So, uh, four four was that gave me some feels right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I know we're running out of time, but there's two more games I want to get in before we call it a night. The first one is BioShock. Have you played any of the BioShock games?
I played and beat the first one. I own the second one, didn't beat it, and then Infinite I played most of, but then I read the rest of what happened in that one.
Yeah, a lot of people think Infinite is the go-to game of the series, but I still think that the first game is the best one. I mean, that's one of the few games that when I played it, as soon as I finished playing it, I immediately started playing again. I mean, there's very few games that I've come across where I've done that, and that's one of the first ones I've actually done that with.
Right.
The story is good, the gameplay is excellent, so it's one of those that they go hand in hand. I think.
Wow. Yeah, I remember the story being really good. I remember getting a little frustrated with the gameplay, but I mean it still was a very, very solid game. So it really didn't fall under either spectrum of story or gameplay, but it had a really good mix of both.
I,
And don't get me wrong, a lot of games these days are getting that right,
yeah.
but that was one of them that really kind of shined.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was excellent. Just the gameplay itself. I thought it was really cool that you can augment your body and have these different powers that you can use to solve different problems. I thought that was really cool. And I
Yeah,
like and I like the story feature. You're in this underwater world, this corrupted and fallen utopia type of place. I thought that was really interesting.
yeah, it always kind of felt like I don't know, in the game I thought I'd be have this fear of, oh, it's going to come crashing in at me at any second. But
Yeah, yeah.
instead, the game gave me more of a claustrophobic feel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it like it didn't really feel like anything was going to come crashing in on me, but enclosed, kind of trapped almost.
Huh. I can see that, but I don't know. For me, it was just a really entertaining game, and I really loved that game from start to finish.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the game made me feel like that and I had to turn it off or anything. That was the sense in the game that it
Right.
gave me,
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
and it raised my tension level in the game a bit, and it that's one of the reasons I actually liked it.
Oh, that's cool.
Once again, it comes back to that tension in games, kind of like somebody asking me why I like Five Nights at Freddy's so much. It's not knowing what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen, but you don't know when, and that keeps you tense the whole time, which in turn makes you better at the game, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I can see that.
And it always is tense when you got a big daddy after you. I'm sorry, it always does.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I think the second one kind of failed at because in that one you are a big daddy.
Yeah,
I can never really get into. I mean, it's kind of a cool idea, but I think it would have been a cooler idea for a DLC pack or something.
yeah, I think that was to just kind of drive sales a little bit. It's like, hey, in this one, you get to play as the Big Daddy. Yeah, you wanted to play that, we gave it to you.
Yeah, here you go. Enjoy.
Yeah, it didn't work for me.
No, nor me.
Yeah, so what's the other game?
The other game, I don't know if you'll agree or not, but I'm a huge fan of this series, and this one is the hands down end all be all of the series for me. And when it came out, the end of the game was so disappointing to a lot of the people playing that they actually went back and with DLCs corrected the ending.
Mass Effect 3?
No, 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 no. That is one, but no, that's not the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of Fallout 3.
They went what? I don't remember them going back and making DLC to fix the ending.
Yeah, but because the way the game ended, where your character dies in the reactor. Oh, sorry, spoilers. Poor game is
Oh my god.
poor, poor game is 6 years old or 7 years old. Yeah,
Son of a
spoilers.
bitch. I didn't know that.
What?
I'm messing with you.
That's
I'm a
insane.
huge Fallout fan.
Yeah, basically you die in the reactor at the end of Fallout 3, and when they released the DLC for it, not Outpost Anchorage, but one of the other DLCs. They went back to where you, if you were to play the game again and finish it, you don't die in the reactor.
Really? No, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, it is such a big stink because people are like, how are we supposed to, how is it my character died? I'm playing this DLC. Like, oh well, we fixed that too.
Oh man. No, I was still big on the internet then. I don't know why I didn't know this. I mean, this is when I lived with the roommate that him and I lived and breathed video games. We lived and breathed Fallout.
Yeah, Fallout. I mean that I was a fan of the original Fallout's for the PC. The very one of the very few games on PC I did enjoy. And when Fallout 3 came out, I was very surprised at how different it was from the original series, but surprised in a good way because I thought it was actually better than the original series was for the PC. And the story I loved. I loved the wastelands. I loved everything about it. It's a great game.
It is. The original Fallout games are great too. One, two, Tactics. Now, Brotherhood of Steel on the PS2. Uh, I can't speak for that one. I didn't think that was that good.
I never played that one, but I've heard nothing but bad things about it.
It
But I still want to find me a copy.
it was one of those games where it was like, who was writing the dialogue for that game? It is just they tried to cuss as much as they could in it.
Oh, one of those games, huh?
Yeah, f bombs everywhere,
Ah,
and it just made for a stupid story.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, and also it was one of those. It was kind of like turning into a dungeon crawler. It didn't feel like the original Fallout's where it's actually was like a tactical type game. You had to spend move points,
Yeah.
agility points to move your character a little bit. It wasn't like that. To be quite honest, Fallout Tactics was freaking amazing.
I haven't played that one either. I played the first two on the PC, and I played Fallout 3 on the 360, and of course New Vegas. Um, but I never played Tactics, and I never played Brotherhood of Steel.
Oh man, Tactics was really one to play because it played like Fallout 1 and 2, but you could, like, even in single player, you had a whole squad to control. I loved playing it multiplayer because you could set up a whole map. They even had map editors online, and you could level your characters up to, I think it was 50. All of your characters in your squad, you could have androids, you could have mutant dogs, whatever. You could level them up. I remember him and I, a buddy of mine and I, we'd always get a big squad going. We'd take our time. You'd be able to choose your perks, choose what skills they got, all the way up to level 50, and then just go at each other. I remember he had this one souped up guy wearing Brotherhood of Steel armor, the whole bit. He had just this Browning machine gun that was just laying waste to my guys. I had a kind of stealthy character that managed to sneak around all the way behind him, steal his ammo, and walk away. And he's like, I remember hearing him in the other room going, "What the hell happened to my ammo?" He couldn't fire at me anymore. Thankfully, he had only taken out like three of my guys. My other guys were able to overwhelm him thanks to that, and I ended up winning because of that. And that was like the pinnacle of my Fallout tactics right there. Just hearing that and winning that match after that was just freaking fantastic. I wish they would do like a multiplayer, kind of like that. I mean, if they could do multiplayer with the way the Fallout 3 is or Fallout New Vegas is, that I think that'd be cool.
Right, and that sounds really cool.
Yeah, if you get the chance, try out Tactics. It's good.
I'm gonna have to then.
So, yeah. But on that note, it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, I still got like five more games on my list, but you know what? We've already gone almost 2 hours.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be an exciting episode. I knew it was going to be a very entertaining episode. So I'm glad we both chose to just go for it.
Oh hell yeah, yeah, definitely.
So anyway, if you guys want to find out more about the show, please check us out on Facebook. You can do a search, Classically Retarded Show. If you do the Twitter thing, I think we're going to do the Twitter thing, aren't we? We're going to do the Twitter thing?
We can do the Twitter thing. I can look that up tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. You get fired up on it. That's all you. Doing the Twitter thing, you'll be able to find us on Classically Retarded Show there. Of course, the YouTube channel, Classically Retarded Show. Check out Retarded by Choice. Check me out, Classic Game Freak. We do weird things on YouTube. I know you and I both really kind of like variety in our channels.
Yeah, yeah, that we do. We don't stick to a certain program. We like to stray away a little bit.
Yeah, I know I can't do the same thing. I'd go nuts doing the same videos. So, pickup videos, let's play videos, you name it, and you still have that really cool Five Nights at Freddy's Let's Play, the challenge I set for you. So,
Yeah, that's on there.
I just peed a little. I loved it. That was funny. Oh man, I actually used that line on my wife a couple days ago. I looked at her, something had happened. I just peed a little. She about died. She had no idea why I said it, but
Oh, that's
she
great.
laughed her head off.
That's
So
great.
yeah, so please check us out on those. I know our Facebook page. We're trying to kind of share deals that we find online, stories we find online, and of course, comments are always welcome on those stories. And if you want to start a little conversation of your own, please feel free.
Yes, please do.
So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I have nothing else to say. I'm too tired.
Right, right. We've gone a little bit, and someone's got a big editing job in front of them.
No, they don't.
Oh, you're gonna listen?
No, I'll do a few clips. We'll keep it about in the middle. So
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I think some of these games do deserve a little bit of airtime. We'll kind of show it a little bit and show you what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So anyway, this is Classic Game Freak.
And retired by choice.
You all have a good day, good night, what have you.
Yep.
Have a good one.
Peace.
Can't get enough gaming talk from just this episode? Then head on over to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/classicallyretarded show. There you can keep up to date on gaming news, sales and deals we've spotted on the interwebs, giveaways, podcast updates, as well as anything and everything retro.